everyone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Marketing Masterclass hosted by LAEDC. We're so excited to have you here. We've got a great set of panelists here, experts in what they do as far as marketing. And we're going to be covering three areas, which is going to include social media, AI, as well as your webpage. So this is going to be an exciting opportunity to learn and take some great information. The great thing about this masterclass is the three panelists that we have are also business owners. So they know exactly what businesses need when it comes to marketing. So our first speaker is going to be Lindsay Carnett, and Lindsay is with the Marketing Maven. We also have Kelly Marble, and Kelly is with Ocean Lifestyle AI. That's the name of her business. And then our third panelist and speaker is Emmanuel Guzman with his expertise with webpage. So this is going to be exciting. We're going to wait a couple more minutes until we get some more people come in. Some more people are trickling in. So we'll get started in a bit. Thank you. Also, very quickly, we are going to leave some time for question and answers as well. So if you could please put your questions in the Q&A. We will go in and we will bring those questions out, and we'll have our speakers answer those questions to, how they feel. And we'll also plug in their information, their email, their business name, and the information that's needed to be able to reach out to them. So we'll have that. So we are going to go ahead and get started just a little bit. Great. So a little bit about LAEDC. What's our mission? It's LAEDC's drives inclusive economic growth, prosperity for the Los Angeles region. We do this through initiatives and strategic relationships. Our vision is coalition of one, an economy for all. These are the technical assistance opportunities that we provide for businesses, and this is done through complimentary and confidential meetings with our businesses. We work across all industry sectors. We take a strategic approach when it comes to working with our businesses. We want to know where you are in your business, what you need for your business. We want to ensure that you are stable, growing, and have all the opportunities and information that you need. And these are the departments that we actually do cover, or areas that we cover, which is assisting with workforce, access to capital. And these are connections that we can provide to you for procurement opportunities, utility programs, and other resources to help your business. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to go ahead and send it over to you, Lindsay. Thank you.
Great, thanks. So I have my screen up. You can see it? Yep, okay, perfect. So good morning. My session is focused on visibility to revenue. This is what we care about as business owners, that we are not just visible, but we are actually generating revenue. This is how to turn marketing into measurable growth. So what we are going to focus on today, so just to give you some background, I started my business when I was 26 years old. Today I'm 43. My business has been in business since 2009 for 16 and a half years. And over these 16 and a half years, I have learned quite a bit. I founded my office in Camarillo. I have another office in Los Angeles and another office in New York City. We've generated over $1 billion of earned revenue for our clients. And I regularly contribute to Forbes, Fox Business, a lot of different press. And I'm the developer of the Marketing Maven Method. And this is a book that's available on Barnes and Noble. It's called The Marketing Maven Method, Secrets of a Maven. And I can include a link to it a bit later. But what I'll do is in this session, we're going to talk a little bit about why attention alone does not create customers, how positioning affects whether people trust you, and trust can be correlated to conversions, which are correlated to revenue, and then how PR, SEO, which means search engine optimization, and authority support your growth. And we'll talk about how to structure marketing instead of just guessing. A lot of people have the throw the spaghetti at the wall strategy and see what sticks. And that's a really good way to lose a lot of money. So I'll teach you how to be strategic on what methods to try based on the type of business that you have and how to measure if it's working or not. And so we'll talk a little bit about how to build a campaign. So some marketing works, some doesn't. You can see on the far right, this is a bullseye. It's not target. We talk about target demographic, and this means who is your audience? A lot of times we first have to start and figure out who is your audience and what are you trying to communicate to them. And so a lot of businesses, you might be included in this maybe when you first started your business, or maybe you can identify some of these things now. For social media, for example, it could be posting without a strategy. The way that we look at different social channels is one, which channels are you on and why are you on those? For me, I'm in the professional services space, so we are providing marketing services. So we use LinkedIn quite a bit. We do have an Instagram presence. We do have a Facebook presence. We do have a YouTube presence for educational content. If you have, say that you're selling beauty products, you probably should be on TikTok because TikTok Shop is selling a lot of beauty products. So think about which channels you're on and why you're on them and who you want to target on those channels. For some businesses, we've helped them with their Instagram, for example, but Instagram strategically was only a place where they wanted to talk about growing and retaining talent. So only for HR purposes, they used LinkedIn. I only used Instagram. But for other brands, if you're a business to business or a business to consumer or a business to government type of organization, this is going to impact what type of social content you put out there and which platforms you select. Also think about advertising without positioning. If you can focus on a particular audience and know exactly what you want to say to them and know exactly what your visuals are, we call this your creative. If you can target exactly that audience, your results will be a lot stronger. So we don't just try and do what we call spray and pray, which spray and pray means send it to everybody and hope everybody's your customer. There will be some people that are not your customer, and it's fine. You say, you are not my customer. But you want to create the content that is for your customer. And then PR without a story. So we'll talk a little bit about what makes something newsworthy. It's timely, it's local, it's quirky, it's hard news, or there's a personality involved. If you can deliver a pitch to a media contact that is newsworthy, then you will not get sent to the advertising department. And that is the goal because advertising departments cost a lot of money. So you want to try and get the earned media. And then content without consistency. Sometimes people say, okay, I'm going to put my foot on the gas. I'm going to do all my LinkedIn posts and I'll do them for a month and then they're silent for 2 months. And that does not have the same impact. Same with blogging too. If you have a blog and you say, oh, good, I'm going to do 5 of them this week and you post all of them and then you don't do anything for 5 months, you'd be better off doing one per month consistently. So we want to try and make this predictable, repeatable, and you want a predictable revenue stream for your business. So this is why we created the Marketing Maven Method. This has three parts to it. So, first is insights. This is the research piece to try and figure out who is your target demographic? Where are people coming from? The crazy thing that we're seeing today in our market research for all sorts of customers is the number of people who are going to company websites or social channels or whatever through ChatGPT. So this is a big, big issue in the marketing world today, is that what you used to be able to pay for with Google Ads, with all of these traditional SEO, search engine optimization practices that would put your company on page one of a Google search, people are not using Google as much as they were. They're still using it. Plenty of millions of people are, but they're also using ChatGPT to find your product or service. And the way that they're using it is they're searching things that are very, very specific. So we're seeing that in our market research. We can see what the referral traffic is and where it's coming from. The strategy piece is after you do the deep dive on the market research side to know your numbers in terms of data, where your customers are coming from and who your customers are. We call that building personas. Then you can make a strategy. Okay, where do I actually want to focus my effort? And we talk about consistency, we talk about cadence. So, cadence could be I'm going to publish one email newsletter per month, every single month for the next 12 months. And that is part of your strategy. Then you could also say, great, I'm going to post on LinkedIn one time per week for the next 12 months. And then I can determine, do I want to increase it to 2 times per week? Or am I growing my audience and am I getting new business deals out of it? And then implementation would be the piece like maybe you're going to use influencers for selling product. Maybe you're going to start doing some digital advertising. So that's where the rubber meets the road. So, how do we turn these views into customers? We have to understand our audience and your value as a company. Strategy is position yourself so customers trust you. And then the implementation place is show up consistently in the right places. So it's kind of a 1, 2, 3 step process. And this next piece is going to help us understand who your audience is, what the market is. The market could be what sector are you in? Which industry are you in? When I look at this for Marketing Maven, somebody said, Lindsay, do you realize that Meta, meaning Facebook and Instagram, is your competitor? And I said, what? We don't compete with Facebook and Instagram. But the truth of the matter is, if people are spending money with Meta, Facebook and Instagram, they're not spending money on marketing. So sometimes your competitors are other places where people are spending money that you don't really realize. So I just think about restaurants. So if they're spending money at the grocery store, then they're not spending money at your restaurant. So what's going to get them to spend money at your restaurant? It's not necessarily just your competitor that is at the restaurant next door to you. So think about externally, where are people spending money if they're not spending it with your organization? So a lot of businesses will start marketing too soon. This is the throw the spaghetti at the wall strategy, which is not really a strategy. And they are not really clear about who they want to reach. So who is the actual audience? I'll give you an example. This chair company, they just focused on one audience. They focused on the audience of senior level executive, and that person could be watching CNN, Fox News, CNBC, a lot of business type programs. What we helped discover for them is that they actually had some other audiences, and we found audiences that were female professionals or younger Gen Z and millennial men, or could be retired aged women. And so we had to be really clear about what makes this product different for them and then why customers should choose them. We're able to then go and create a strategy about what this audience wanted, and got to know them really well. Who is this audience? Who are they? What do they need? What problems do they have? What do they actually value? Where do they spend their time? And who do they trust? And you can even follow some of your maybe some of your social media community and see what pages do they like? What type of media are they following? And what type of influencers do they follow? And who are they connected with? Say that you're a B2B business on LinkedIn. What are they liking and commenting on? And you can actually see other people's comments on other people's profiles. So dig in and research a little bit and see what comes up. And then we have to figure out how to define your value. So if you are a B2B business, what do you do really specifically? Who do you help? And what are the results you create? A lot of people are focused on services and not as focused on outcomes. What is the end benefit? We like to say WIFM, what's in it for me? So what is the WIFM for your target audience? And just think about it for a minute. What's the WIFM? If you are a Mexican restaurant, we represent one Mexican restaurant that is in East LA, and we've been working with this gentleman since 2013, and he is a great birria taco place, and from Jalisco, and has another place in Fort Worth, Texas, and he creates an experience where people who grew up having birria tacos or birria as a special dish. This happened at weddings and baptisms and quinceañeras and all of these very special moments. And so he's able to bring this really special experience to people on an average Thursday. You could go into his restaurant and get that same quality that you would have this nostalgia about. And so this is what we're really trying to bring out for his audience. So why are you different? This is like an original family recipe. This is if you're a B2B business, then what value are you doing? Are you faster than your competitors? Are you more accurate than your competitors? Are you generating more revenue for your customers? So a weak message would be, we offer great service. A strong message, this is in a B2B case, we help small businesses generate consistent leads online. Just say that you are a digital marketing agency focusing on lead generation. We help small businesses generate consistent leads online. We know who this audience is. The audience is small businesses, and the outcome is generating consistent leads online. So if you had to make a value proposition statement for your company, what would that value proposition be? So there is a speaker that has spoken to my Vistage group many times, and he says, clarity creates confidence. So if you are very clear about your message, then people will have more confidence in you and your business. So I have that just right here. Clear value builds confidence. So we also do have to be really concerned about what the competition looks like. Customers compare before they choose. Has anybody tried to get gas in the last week? Oh my goodness. This is a time when we are looking at the competition. Who has the cheapest gas prices? And are you willing to wait in line at Costco? Are you going to Vons because you are a Vons loyalty member and so you can punch in your loyalty code? Are you going to go get cash first so then you do not pay with your credit card? You go pay with cash because you get a better price per gallon. So we are making really big decisions this week about where we are getting our gas for our cars. Or maybe you just say, oh yeah, that was so 10 years ago. I drive electric. Fine. But if you are using gas for your car, you are dealing with this right now. Gas stations, customers compare before they choose. So who else do they see? So think about when you're going to go get gas this week, you're looking in a particular area. It's one thing if you're going on a road trip, you get what you get. But if you are driving locally and you know your place, maybe this week you're switching to another place just because the other place is cheaper. So what are your competitors doing? What are all the different gas stations doing? How are they standing out? And then what makes you memorable? So maybe one place has, really good drinks inside, or one cashier is really friendly and knows you now. So are you willing to switch just because I know the person's really nice and they always say hi to me, but this week I'm going to another place. So, understanding the market helps you position yourself. So, think about what's changing in the market. I'll give you one example. During the pandemic, everything was changing for everybody. People had to go online. Everybody knows what happened. But what happened in the marketing space was that consumers were changing how they purchased. And so a lot of companies said, I don't know what's happening. I need some data. And so market research became a huge, huge area that we could promote during this time to help companies figure out what their audience looks like. And this happens when different geopolitical issues happen, when big shifts happen. You have to look at the data and figure out what is your customer doing? Do you have suddenly a new set of customers? So we look at strong marketing. What does this mean? Data into results and outcomes, your story, why your work matters, and the proof, testimonials, reviews, and case studies. People trust what they can see, and your marketing should show results, not just services. So think about your founder story. You are each founders of your businesses, and a lot of people want to work with founder-led companies. And so that is something that originally when I started Marketing Maven, I was like not wanting to lean into that too much. And after a lot of consultation, people are like, Lindsay, think about all of the ways that, you are more nimble. You are really caring about what's going on for your customers. Think about all of these really great pieces and lean into it as part of your story. And that is part of your value proposition. So I encourage you to do some soul searching and, the Simon Sinek, what's your why? Think about what your why is and tie that into your founder story. We talked about some of these barriers, trying to reach everyone. Don't try and reach everyone. That's a good way to lose a lot of time and energy and focus. Um, some people do not have a niche. There's a saying, niches build riches. Look at the lady watering the plant. We know money doesn't grow on trees, but think about a niche. What niche could you build out? And sometimes this could be a regional thing too. So sometimes you want to start locally and then build out regionally. We are a national agency. We happen to be based in Southern California, but we started a New York office because it was really important for us to be able to gain some national clients. So think about your messaging. Is it a strong message? Is your marketing consistent? Like, does your logo match on your website, on your business cards, on your social media platforms? Are you consistent online? And then what is the authority? So a weak marketing presence would have no authority signals. And what does authority signals mean? So for example, if you were covered in the Los Angeles Times as, a new great service, say that you are a construction company and it's talking about one of your really great projects in the LA Times, that is a really great authority signal. So you have a third party saying how great you are. It's not you just shouting from the rooftops, we're great, everybody trust us. And think about your online presence. What actually shows up? Something that I recommend to companies quite frequently is having a Google News search or Google alerts just for your name and for the name of your business. It's free to do. So consider doing it. But it's important to see what's out there about your business and what does your digital footprint look like when you Google the name of your company. So strategies focusing on positioning yourself so customers choose you. Why does positioning matter? Customers make decisions quickly. Think about our gas station example. You're driving by, you're going to turn right or you're not going to turn right. You're going to turn right or you're going to keep on going. And so, same sort of thing. So, do I understand this business? Maybe if somebody doesn't really clearly understand what you do, they think, oh, that's not really for me, or I don't really know, so I'll just keep going. Next thing is, do I trust them? Think about it if you're a restaurant and you have a B rating outside of your window. Am I going to trust them as much as somebody who has an A rating outside of their window? Or if I look somebody up on the BBB website for Better Business Bureau, who's actually a client of ours, that also ranks the company too. So you want to make sure that you appear trustworthy for, if it's the health department, if it's the Better Business Bureau, if it's media, that you show up with the credentials to be trustworthy. And then do they seem experienced? Do the people, even if you have people answering phones or answering emails, do they appear confident in what they are selling or not? And then do they look credible? So this is where it comes to branding. What is the outward appearance or in terms of credibility? Do you have a crisp logo? Do you have clean, are you a clean establishment, for example? And then positioning answers that answer these questions quickly is really important. So clear positioning, what does this mean? Your message should explain who you help, what you do, and what results you create. I'm going to say that again. Think about your business. Who do you help? And don't just say everybody. Think about really specifically, who do you help? Who's your ideal customer? Because part of this too is maybe some customers are more profitable for you than others. And this was a really interesting exercise that I had to do with some business coaches and figure out which customers are not profitable customers for you, and you might want to cut them loose. And which customers are profitable customers for you, and how do you get more of them? So think about it. Who do you help? What do you do? So, what are the specific services or what is the specific product that you're offering? And what sort of results do you create? That is going back to the outcome piece of things. The clearer you are, the easier it is to convert this attention into actual customers. So, what makes you interesting? I have a story that I loved PR because when I was 16 years old, I had the opportunity to go to China to play soccer. I played against the women that were training for the Chinese national soccer team, but I had to raise $3,500 to be able to go do it. And so I went to my local newspaper and I said, "Hey, my friends and I got selected for this cultural exchange program. We get to go to China and we get to go play soccer against these girls and represent our state." And they did a story on my best friends and me. And in that story, we got to put our PO box to mail checks in for donations. This is before GoFundMe existed or any of these online platforms. And the checks started rolling in, and I was like, wow, this is really cool that we could tell a really cool story. The media covers it, and then stuff happens. And I literally could get on an airplane and go play soccer against these girls in China. And so what makes you interesting? When I tell that story, then people will say, oh, you had an interest in PR before you even knew what PR was when you were 16 years old because this really cool thing happened to you. And when I was in college, I went to California Lutheran University in Thousand Oaks. I played soccer in college, and I also had an internship at a PR agency. And I got a Wall Street Journal placement above the fold on a Monday morning for a company that was a client of this PR agency. And my boss said, wow, that doesn't happen in people's careers. So that's an interesting fact about me that I can tell to clients or prospects, and they'll say, wow, this lady is really going to go for it. So think about what is going to attract somebody for growth or a success story that you have. Or, maybe you came to the US with nothing and then you started your own business and you were like the American dream. Or maybe, you are the first college educated person in your family. So think about what makes you very unique. What is your really authentic story? And then how can you tie this into your business story? So marketing needs an angle. If nothing stands out, people don't notice. And I call this being in the sea of sameness. You don't want to live in the sea of sameness. You want to be memorable. So what will make you memorable? And you want to be memorable for the right things. It's not just because you shout the loudest or you were rude to somebody. Those are not the things to be memorable for. So again, what makes something newsworthy? So there could be a milestone in your company. So when we turned 15 years old, that was a big deal. A lot of businesses go out of business after year one, year five, year 10, but to make it a year 15, that's a big deal. So that's a milestone. An award would be like being an Inc. 5000 fastest growing public or privately held company in America. We got a Inc. 5000 award in 2017 and 2018. To have it in two consecutive years, that's something to celebrate. So think about what other awards have you gotten? A lot of times there are awards for specific industries in the food category, could be some sort of creative thing that you've done, or are you going to be participating in an event? Say that you got selected to do some do the floral designs for FIFA World Cup for some big event that they're doing. So think about what could be very interesting for people to know you can be trusted or you have some sort of industry insights. These things create reasons for people to talk about you. And so if you look at this over a month by month calendar, do you have something? Are you going to a trade show, for example, in May? Are you speaking at an event in June? Are you going to get some big award in July? And maybe you're turning 5 years old as a company in August. All of these things are things to calendar out. And this is the strategy portion of what we're talking about here. And PR, this is earned media. So this is not an ad. This builds trust. And this also helps with generative engine optimization. What is GEO? GEO is the new SEO. And this is tied to all of the AI pieces that you'll hear about in one of our later sessions that AI is pulling from authoritative articles online. And authoritative articles are these third party articles from different media that are writing about your organization. If they're not writing about you or your organization, they're likely writing about your competitor. So when somebody says, hey, I'm looking for a cough syrup for a 7-year-old that also has allergies, and they're typing that into ChatGPT, if you are the one who's selling exactly that cough syrup for a 7-year-old with allergies, you are likely going to come up, and maybe it's an article that it points to as that authoritative source. And that is what generative engine optimization pulls from. So PR has always been important, but it's more important today in the world of AI than ever before for people to find you and trust you. So there's something called earned, owned, and paid. The PR piece is earned. So it's earned media. There's no payment happening for it. Owned is what you have on your website and what your own social media says. Could be anything that you are putting out there. And then paid, we'll talk about too. Paid is things that you're paying for, like actual advertisements. So back to my recommendation on Google, try searching your business name and your personal name too. I found out that there's another Lindsay Carnett who lives in Texas, and she is a reporter for the San Antonio News Express. That could be kind of confusing with me being in the world of media and this person being a journalist. And so I bought my name, lindsaycarnett.com. So I own the URL. It's my website up there, and that's great. That's how I want it to be. But think about if there are people with your same name, and who are they? Maybe they're a good person, maybe they're not a good person, but that is part of your online presence, and you don't want somebody to confuse you with somebody else. So I am not endorsed by GoDaddy or anything like that, but I would definitely recommend to go to GoDaddy, go purchase your first name, last name.com and just own it. And if you want to put up a small website, great. If you want it just to route to your main website for your company, that's great too. So when you do a search, you're going to see the website, you're going to see reviews, you're going to see articles, social media profiles, and videos. The other major thing is to make sure that your social media, the personal one that you have, is private, depending on how private you want to be. But I recommend, if you're a business owner, I would keep your business profiles public, but make your personal ones private. That's just my personal recommendation for you, my professional recommendation for you. And think about what you're doing with the reviews too. So it is important to respond to them, but not to get in a fight with the people that you're responding to. Different authority signals would be places that you might be speaking at. Maybe there's a conference that you're going to speak at. Awards. There are a plethora of awards in every single category. We just signed on a new reverse osmosis client last night, and I'll be having a meeting with them today about all the awards that they can submit for. There are awards from Fast Company, from Inc., from the local business journals, even. So if you go on to the Los Angeles Business Journal or San Fernando Valley Business Journal websites, then you're going to be able to go under events, and then you can see all of the different business awards that they have. They have one for women-owned small businesses. They have one for technology and innovation and all of these different categories. So it's important to look at those and think about, who could give you a nomination for that. It's free to nominate for, and it could put your business on the map. So think about that. And also think about testimonials from your customers. Something that I learned about probably like 12 years ago was certifications. And I thought that I didn't need certifications because I'm a marketing company. And we got certified as a women-owned small business. We got certified as a disadvantaged business enterprise. We became part of the 8A program for government contracting with the federal government. And all of those things have led to new accounts for us. And so I would also encourage you, if you don't know a lot about certification, I'm sure LAEDC has programs to educate about certifications, but definitely get some information about certifications and think about getting certified, maybe a minority business enterprise, and that would give you some preference. And then targeting the right channels. So look at local news, look at Instagram, LinkedIn, podcasts, events, industry blogs. Think about marketing where your customers are. And this is not just the blanket, oh, everybody's my customer. This is your very closely identified customer segments. This is the last part of our program, which is the implementation piece. This is where the rubber meets the road. Your consistent marketing that leads to customers. So many businesses know what to do. Like, in your head, I should be doing this, but you're not doing it consistently. So marketing works well when repeated. So think about rinse and repeat. Think about another load of laundry. You just got to keep doing it. So consistency builds familiarity. Familiarity builds trust. Trust builds customers. And so no single tactic will work alone. But again, you don't necessarily want to be doing all of these things. You want to define it in your strategy and then start doing the things that you set out to do. Your growth will come from having a system that you're following. And your staff will also appreciate this playbook because you'll all be singing out of the same hymn book, for example. So everybody will know this person's doing this person's doing this. We have outside help for this, but you know exactly what that looks like. Content that builds trust is going to educate. It's going to focus on results. It's going to tell stories. It's going to offer tips. It's going to give proof, and it's going to give updates. If your content is too promotion focused, have you ever unsubscribed from social content that says buy, 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 offer, offer, offer? And then you're like, okay, just turn it off. I can't listen to this anymore. I don't want to partake in this. And then on the flip side, too little consistency, you will be stagnant and not growing. So we want to have that balance because that will build credibility. Oops. Um, so speaking at events, when you are speaking or doing events, you want to be able to focus on what is your area of expertise. all of you, if you started a business, you are an expert. You're an expert in the area that you have your business in. Otherwise, you could not have a business and have customers. So that's a hard thing for a lot of people to think of and think, well, I don't know what I'm an expert in. Well, you do have expertise, and you have to realize that the people that you're speaking with or speaking to don't have that same level of expertise. That's why they're coming to you. So think about, where do you want to meet customers? How do you want to ask for a referral? The more specific you can be about who you want as a customer, the easier it is for the other person to identify, oh, I know somebody like that. If you just say, oh, yeah, I'm looking for any business that, wants to grow, that's not specific enough, and it can't help the person identify, oh, yeah, I know this one, this one, this one. It sounds like they would be a perfect fit. Or I don't know anybody now, but when I come across them, I know exactly who I'm going to send them to. So, again, when you are asking for a referral, you want to be really specific in who is that exactly. Um, I'm going to jump past this so we have enough time for questions. So think about, there are some programs now, and we have a partnership with a company that does a lot of these automated Google reviews. So they will actually reach out to your customer on an automated AI basis and ask for reviews. And then you get to review the reviews, and then those ones that you approve will get published. So it's a automated system. So, because it's a lot of work, all of these things, once you put it all together, it can seem very overwhelming. So, think about using reviews, think about using client quotes. You do have to get permission first from your customers to say, would I be able to use a quote from you, or would you be able to provide this for me? Another good way that I do is do a LinkedIn request for a referral, essentially like a recommendation. So it's a LinkedIn recommendation, and then your customer could give you a LinkedIn recommendation, and then you could also ask, hey, could I also use this on my website, or could I use this in my marketing? And so that is a really good way to do it. And then also think about case studies. Would that client be available, approved to give you a case study? And then you would say, okay, here's the problem that they had when they came to me. Here's the solution that I created for them, and this was the outcome. And maybe they will say, yes, but don't put the numbers in there in terms of like what my revenue was, or don't put XYZ, but you could put a percentage, like we helped them grow by 52% by doing XYZ types of activities over this period of time. So again, it builds trust, and we want to have consistent content. So, some of my closing thoughts are: clarity creates confidence. Think about how you're positioning your company. Are you the highest quality? Are you the cheapest? Are you the fastest? Are you the tastiest? Are you the women-owned led company? Are you a nimble company? So, think about your positioning, and then visibility. Where do you want to be seen? Among which groups? Which customers? What's the consistency? What are you willing to commit to? And this is kind of like, if somebody says, I want to lose 50 pounds, that's a big goal. Maybe you just want to start with 10 and hit that first. So the consistency could be, I want to do a blog post once a month. Don't maybe try and go out of the gate and say, I'm going to do 8 per month, and then you can't keep up with it. And then think about follow up. How are you going to look at your numbers, see, am I getting improvement here? And this is how views become sales. So get seen, get trusted, get customers, and grow. When your marketing is structured, your results become predictable, and marketing works when it is intentional. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Lindsay. I do see a question, and in fact, I did also put Lindsay's information in the chat as well. So you can always refer to that, to her information there. A question here is for more of my customers are getting answers from AI chat platforms like ChatGPT instead of traditional Google search. Does that change how I should approach SEO? Should I be intentionally optimizing content for these AI chat tools? And if so, how do I balance that with my existing SEO strategy for search? Is the strategy different for each AI chat platform?
Yeah, so what we are doing is website audits. And one website audit that we just did for a financial services company showed that they have really, really great content on their website. But in their case, they have a lot of podcasts. They have hours and hours, probably 120 hours of podcasts on different financial topics on their website. Unfortunately, AI cannot listen to all of those podcasts. So if they were to have those podcasts transcribed and then have that transcription on the website, then and archived appropriately, then it would be able to crawl that and hear that and look at that as an authority piece. Similarly, there is a way to be writing even your blog posts for what we call schema. And the schema is able to look at like what's your H1 tag, your header, what's your H2 tag, what's your H3 tag. And a lot of these blogs, if they're written in question and answer format, AI likes when you are an authoritative figure, that you have authority on the type of content that you're putting out there. So if you can have your blog content rewritten in terms of like, you know, how do I do this? Or three ways for this, or some of these really specific questions that people might be searching on ChatGPT or some of these other answer engines. That is a really good way to structure your content. And like I mentioned, the authoritative piece for earned media is more important now than ever before. We used to not get a lot of referrals from SEO agencies, search engine optimization agencies, because they would say, oh, you can pay for that. We'll just write this and get it posted. But today, the pendulum has swung where they're like telling their clients, hey, you need to go get some earned media and then come back to us because we can do a lot with that because those are the sources that get cited. And it has to do with domain authority as well. So Google does give a domain authority for content. For example, um, Los Angeles Times would have a higher domain authority than a mommy blog, for example. Or Forbes.com has a very high domain authority of between 90 and 95. The thing that we are doing with clients is search engine optimized press releases that can also get picked up by the AI searches too, because they also have such a high domain authority. So they get syndicated to media outlets like Business Insider or Yahoo Finance or Benzinga and a lot of these other news sources where it will stay permanently online. And this not only helps you with your organic SEO, but also on the GEO side with AI. So the answer is you have to do both. So it's just like adding another pile of laundry that you have to keep washing. Now it's not just one pile of laundry, it's two piles of laundry every single week. So think about how you want to allocate your time in the most efficient way. But some things you can do structurally on your website.
Wonderful. Thank you. We do have another question, and that is, how do you balance trends versus original content?
Yeah, so is if this is focused more on social content in terms of following trends, one, you want to make sure that the trend is on brand. If there's some sort of trend, I mean, I just think back to like the ice bucket challenge or doing a dance or whatever, if it's a TikTok dance, how much is it on brand for your organization? To do a trend and have it be permanently online is not the reason why you should be doing it. You should be having your own content and have your own brand voice, have your own brand identity. When we do brand exercises, the most fun question that I get to ask is if you were a celebrity, who would you be? And I've heard a lot of really interesting answers from different companies, even from nonprofits. And if you had a narrator narrating your content, who would it be? The most recent one I got is Chris Hemsworth. Like, we would want to be the voice of Chris Hemsworth. And so that was kind of a cool one to hear about. So think about your content in terms of what does it represent for you as a brand? And yes, you should have your own leadership, thought leadership. You should have your own content, and you can tap into trends when they're relevant, but don't just jump on every single trend and don't let that be the majority of your content.
Very good. Thank you so much, Lindsay. One more question for you. I think we might have a couple more questions.
Okay.
So, great content, but for most small businesses, having the time is the main challenge. Could you recommend one or two easy things that they can do and maintain it consistently?
Yeah, I think there are some scheduling platforms. I think a lot of people have anxiety around, oh my gosh, what am I going to post? And even, big CEOs at big companies, like they have told me, well, I started drafting this one post and then I just wasn't sure. And so then I just deleted it. And I thought, gosh, what a waste of time. And so I think if you have content that you can schedule, there are free scheduling platforms like Hootsuite is one of them. There are a lot of different free tools today and some that are very inexpensive. We use the platform called Sprout Social. That is a agency's platform that we'll use to schedule client content across different platforms. But once you have your content calendar for the month, I would recommend getting those posts scheduled, and then you can kind of have peace of mind. And it's not always a thing like, oh, I have to stop everything and just schedule this one thing and get it posted because it interrupts your day. And to your point, it is a lot to consistently think about. Yes, if you have something that big that happens, you can insert it in there manually, but I definitely recommend a scheduling platform to think about and this is the beauty of doing the research first. Look and see what performed well over the last 12 months. What are your competitors doing? How do you want to stand apart from your competitors? And then on the strategy part, think about what platforms do I want to be on? Because you could simplify things for yourself too to say, we're not going to do any more X. Like X is out. We're only going to do Instagram and LinkedIn and an occasional video on YouTube, and that's it. We're not focused on all the other platforms. And so think about that. Prepare your content, make your content calendar, figure out what you're doing month over month, create the content for 1 month, schedule it, and then boom, be done with it.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. One more question for you. Many small businesses feel that having active social media channel is enough for their online presence, and they often see a website as unnecessary or harder to maintain. Can you speak to whether websites are still a valuable part of the marketing landscape and how they fit alongside social platforms today?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, great question. The funny thing is I just went to the LA sports procurement event at the crypto.com arena, and I got to listen to everybody up on stage saying yes, people want to be able to get jobs tied to FIFA World Cup. They want to be able to get work tied to the Super Bowl, tied to LA 28. And they're submitting their companies and they only have social profiles and no website. And they must have a website because that's how they're being evaluated. And when I heard that, I thought, gosh, I should have set up a table outside this huge ballroom that said, we do websites because
Mhm.
companies have to have a website. And you know what? It's not hard to build these days. One, you want to have your URL. Two, you want to have good hosting. And three, they're easier to maintain than social media. So
Mhm.
I would absolutely have a website, even if you only put up a landing page that says what it is that you do and your contact information, and then it has links to your social channels. That is part of your digital footprint, and it is important to have a website. So please don't think that you should not have a website. You should definitely have a website. And I would even go as far to say, create a personal website for you too about your own personal accomplishments too. Buy your first name, last name.com, put up a landing page and get it done.
Thank you so much. And in fact, our third speaker will be covering websites. So thank you very much, Lindsay.
Great.
One more question for you. Are creating blog posts still popular for SEO?
Yeah, blog posts are still popular. And like I mentioned, if you create them in a way that they can get picked up for AI too, with schema, like it's in a question answer format and you have all of the appropriate headers, think about what topics are going to be the most beneficial. When we do our market research, part of what we look at is what are the most searched phrases for a company's particular industry, and we take those most searched phrases, which means people are searching for them, they just don't have loyalty to a particular company, and we reverse engineer them into blog headlines. So think, just to put up a blog about, some random thing is a waste of time. If you can take it and tie it to research and then drive traffic because of it, there are huge reasons why you should be doing blog posts if it is tied strategically back to the outcomes that you want to get as a business.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Lindsay. I've again put Lindsay's information in the chat. She's got her email, her phone number, all of her information is there. Wanted to say thank you. Appreciate the time, Lindsay. All just wonderful information. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Great. So next up, we have Kelly Marble. And we've got about 2 minutes right now. So I'm going to take a quick 2 minute break if you guys like. And then we can get back on it at 10 o'clock. How's that? Are you ready to start, Kelly? Okay. Again, thank you all for joining. This is actually a treat for everyone. We've got great three speakers here that are speaking from experience, from also being business owners themselves and having this expertise. So we appreciate you being here today. Again, please put your questions in the chat. This session will be recorded. Thank you very much. So Kelly, it's all, oh,
I've got her taken care of. Thank you, Aja. Thank you, Sita. Yeah, I can do you want to give the attendees a few minutes or do you want to go ahead and get started?
we can go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Kelly Marble, the founder and CEO of Ocean AI. We are an edtech enablement platform that supports government agencies, nonprofits, small businesses around AI literacy and adoption. A little bit about me before we get started. I have about 16 years in the tech space. I have a non-traditional background in tech. For those of you who are familiar, I answered a Craigslist ad back in 2011, a Craigslist ad for Microsoft. And that actually was a gateway into tech for me. I started doing tech sales and I opened up the first Microsoft store in Georgia. And from there, I stayed in tech, doing a lot around tech sales, program management, training and development, and marketing, which led me to my last stint at Google in 2022, where I oversaw impact initiatives that supported technologists, Black and Brown communities in upskilling their efforts when they wanted to become technical professionals, whether that's engineers, architects, and so forth. My company, I started in 2020. Um, and from there, I just been really interested in the way AI has been able to help small businesses leverage AI, especially to scale. So I'm going to go ahead and present my presentation. But before I do so, I want to give you guys some stats so we're all kind of like on the same playing field. So California actually has the largest amount of small businesses, 4.4 million small businesses here in the state of California. And 1 in 4 were leveraging AI back in 2022. Now 86% are leveraging AI. And if you are in the Black and Brown community, 96% of small businesses are um, single employed workforce enabled, meaning there's one employer and or contractors that are working. And so that means there's tons of opportunity where small businesses can leverage AI as well as agents to support the work that they're doing day to day. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. I have some really great things to share with you all, but please, this is gonna be super interactive. So please let me know where you are in your AI journey in the chat, whether you feel like you're a beginner, you are intermediate, or you feel advanced. You're like, hey, I've been doing AI for a while. I'm currently producing some agents. I have some workflow automations. And or you're like, using it for marketing. It's been exciting. What other capabilities can I leverage AI for? Or there's some folks who are kind of like, I don't know where to start. And wherever you are in your journey, it's totally fine. We're going to walk you through it. And at any given point, if you're like, hey, you define a terminology or let's slow it down, let me know. So, no problem at all. I'll go ahead and share my screen. I'll ask for someone to let me know if you can see it, and you can go from there. Give me 1 second. All right. Thank you so much, Angelique, for that. I'll go ahead and present. I have my note taker here, so give me a second. All right. Your screen share is paused. Can you see my screen or is it showing my, nope, okay. Let's see. Why is it paused? Oh, resume. Let's see if that works. You tried test, well, I should have fully tested it out earlier, but let's see. And if not, what I can do also, because technical difficulties happen, roll with the punches. I'll go ahead and exit and I can just share the slides off Canva. So it won't look as professional, but it would still provide the content that we're needing. So give me 1 second while I exit and we can go from there. All right, what about now? Is this okay? All right, thank you. Let's get started. So I told you a little bit about my company, Ocean AI, and we already discussed a little bit about where we are in our AI journey. Most founders, we've started using AI to some capacity, but for a lot of us, the work still depends on us. And what does that mean? So while AI tools exist, the workflow still primarily remains manual and fragmented, meaning we may use AI to draft emails for us, to produce content, even to maybe do some proposals. But a lot of it is still us in the loop, where it's not sending out emails or there's no type of like automation that's being involved. It's helping around the edges, if you will. So the shift, we want to move from those isolated prompts, meaning whatever you're entering into AI, to connected automated processes. One, for an example, if you use ChatGPT, you can connect your Gmail, you can connect your calendar. And that way now you can see your schedule, you can start, sending emails. So that's just a small bit of automation if you're unfamiliar that you can get started with. The third one is design or so a lot of us, we design once and it runs smoothly, whether you're designing, a brand guide or you're designing a flyer, but it's not necessarily giving us our time back because we're steadily redesigning. For most of us, we started using AI around marketing. It's a very easy entry point, whether you wanted to create copy for your social media, whether you wanted to create a newsletter. Um, and it's really great at generating the content and repurposing ideas. But now we're able to have one piece of content and repurpose it 5 different ways on across multiple platforms. And we can use AI to really trigger those platforms and push the content without us having to be so involved. The next is operations. Um, whether it's email handling, scheduling, creating what I love, which is SOPs, standard operation procedures or operation agreements, even research. AI has been so amazing, compiling information, supporting us with email handling and scheduling. But for a lot of us, we're still in the loop. It's like they'll drop the email, we got to copy it and move it over into our Gmail or an Outlook or etc. Another simple automation that you can do, and I'm really about freemium tools. So whether it's chat, Jotform, Canva, Claude, a lot of these AI tools you can try for free, and then you're able to pay the subscription if it makes sense for you. One of those automations that I was referring to about the email handling is Jotform. Um, I can show you guys a little bit later too. But Jotform is amazing because you're able to have an agent include it into your email integration. So now it's going to respond when you get emails, and you can just read the response, see if it aligns to your tone and brand, adjust it if needed, and hit send and hit send. So it already drafts the email for you, which is really great, saves a lot of time, and it's free. So that's another great thing. And then lastly, we have our client funnel. Um, which is really important. Outreach, proposal drafting, follow-ups on autopilot. I think for most of us, if you are a small business, this is those three buckets, 4, 5, and 6, are pretty much paramount to any business, marketing, ops, and client funnel. And the great thing is AI can help and support in all three of those areas. All right, so why does using AI still feel manual for a lot of us? Some of us, we already, again, are using agents, which is fine and great. My company, we help support small businesses with agentic AI, so discovering what makes the most sense for your business and how to include it. But, a lot of us have either tool fatigue, we're using all of these tools, and we still feel like we're the glue holding it all together, right? A lot of it has to do with isolating tools. So we're using them separate and they're not really integrated. We're seeing now through a lot of these platforms, these integrations that are happening, which is amazing, right? So if you're using Claude, for instance, you can add your Squarespace or your website to Claude. You can connect your Canva to chat. You can use Perplexity, which is a research tool, and add, different integrations to it as well. So we're starting to see this connectivity, but for the most part, it can still feel a little bit isolating if we're not connecting these apps or these tools in the right sequence. The manual handoff is also something that I've myself still go through, which is that copy and paste between apps, whether you are creating a prompt in chat and then you're using another prompt to create a flyer and then you're using another, app to, upload your flyer and your content to social. So there's a process in place. And it feels very manual. And that's okay for now, but that's not where we are headed. And Ocean AI, we're really about filling that gap from the manual to the automated. Next, you are the OS, so the operating system, which means workflows don't really feel connected. You remain the business system, so nothing really moves unless you're moving, which could be a bottleneck. So with AI, we can actually support when it comes to removing ourselves in smaller automations so that we can focus on the bigger picture, whether that's client acquisition, new market entry, or even just, learning, training, etc., whatever your business goals are. So what's the shift that changes the game? AI actually adds real value and it handles processes and not just what's happening in the moment. And I think, you know, what we're seeing in the market from 2022, where all of these apps kind of took place, Gen AI, was ahead of the curve. People were a little cautious, but still interacting with it. And now we're at a place where, I think folks feel pretty decent with a certain few tools. Some of us are still learning new ones, but we're like, hey, we're ready for AI to help scale our business. And so the first thing when we think about the shift is the process power, right? So it shines when AI can manage the entire process and you kind of have those triggers for revisions, renewals, or even, the stamp of approval. So you don't want an email to go out unless you're like, it's approved. The next agent workflows, right? We talked about this a little bit, but when the agents are inside your workflows, it can take over your routines, meaning you can have an agent set up and it shows you your schedule for the week because it's connected to your calendar. It's reviewing your emails. You have, your task list and it's also incorporating that. So now it's prioritizing your workflow. You're saying, hey, make sure you carve out 30 minutes a day because I want to spend that time, with my partner. Maybe you're into exercising. Maybe it's even, daily rituals, whether it's, prayer, etc. You can have all that built in, and your AI can act as a PA, a personal assistant. And then lastly, the shift, design once, which I think is the most important. Oh, I think we have some background noise, but it's all good. Maybe we can just turn our mic off. But the last one is design once. And I think this is the biggest one because I know as someone who's really cautious of my brand, sometimes we're still trying to find our voice, our tone, etc. But you can build out a brand guide and just update that one guide and have AI make those changes across the board, whether it's within your emails, responses, your marketing materials, etc. When you design once, you're able to have that consistency across all of your channels. And a lot of people are like, yeah, well, that sounds great, but how does that work? How do you put that into practicality? And so we'll go through that a little bit more too. And there's also a field guide that you all can purchase at the end that can be supportive as well. So where AI and automation deliver immediate value. We talked about it earlier, these three buckets, marketing, ops, and client funnel. This is Ocean AI's three pillars, and really what we trademark and what we shine in. So when we think about content, not only content generation and visual assets and prep, but really how to put that on autopilot. So how do you content batch, right? Because a lot of times we can spend a lot of time and energy trying to figure out how do we reach our audience, what channels, social channels should we connect with, what messaging should we have. Well, with AI, not only can it automate that, but it can also schedule. And so it can feel a little bit daunting, like, okay, I need to think about my content batch. I need to think about when I need to schedule and push this content out. I think we should take a step back and think about what it means for you and your business and how do we make marketing fun and accessible. If you're using, for instance, Claude has such a very robust understanding of the social media journey and pipeline. So when you're asking it to batch content, it will continue to ask you more questions. Well, not only is it going to batch content for you, it's going to provide additional resources so that you're able to schedule. Typically, there's a scheduling tool that you can use. It will provide different scheduling tools, whether it's free or at a different price. And the best part, it provides the steps. And I think that's what's really important. I think a lot of us are like, hey, I'm excited for this stuff, but I don't know the steps. Let the AI tool walk you through those steps if you're still starting out, and it can really help with whatever area you're looking to improve within your business. Next is operations. So we talk about email handling and scheduling, and we know that it delivers immediate value. If you haven't tried it yet, one thing that you can do is if you've written 3 emails that aren't proprietary or, have sensitive information, you can literally copy those 3 emails and say, hey, you know, review these 3 emails and tell me my tone, my brand, and my style, and my cadence. And then it can create a tonality for you for your emails. And from there, you can use it to create, different type of autopilot responses, whether it's, a follow-up email, a scheduling email, or introduction email. So now you have those 3 templates and you can kind of shift or revise them as needed. Lastly, you have your client funnel. This is really important, especially if you are looking to do government contracting, if you're looking to do, contracting on the city, state, local, or county level, just because, when you go to these different procurement sites, the RFPs are so extensive. Typically it's like 5 different packets that you're downloading. Each one has certain requirements. And you want to make sure that you're meeting those requirements. Before you do that, you want to make sure that it's a good opportunity. And so you can literally use AI to help you weed out certain bids to make sure that you're putting your efforts into the right one. It can then, depending on the information you feed it, fill out a lot of the information for you and give you a timeline as to when you need to, submit, what meetings that are mandatory, etc. There's some tools and websites out there now that kind of help with this process, but you can also do it using whether, again, Perplexity, Claude, or Chat, which are typically my 3 main go-tos. Claude has a really great compliance and safety guardrails. So does Microsoft Copilot. Um, and Gemini is okay too. I think Gemini is really good for video. And if you're, creating movies and animations, and it has a little bit of research and source citing to it too. But my 3 for this presentation would be Claude, Chat, and Perplexity. But drop in the chat if you use, other ones like Grok, DeepSeek. There's so many out there. I do a lot of workshops and trainings, and I get to hear all of the different tools that people are using and leveraging. So always interested in knowing what's out there and how you guys are using it. And we'll talk about AI agents a little bit later. All right, so content without the daily grind. I have been for the past year probably using AI in a sense of, you know, the human in the loop where I'm constantly copying and pasting. It's helping in areas, but at the same time, I'm still pushing out a lot of content and a lot of energy. So I don't know about you, but some of the batch content creation that we can run on autopilot is first training your voice. You can feed AI your past content so it can learn your tone and your style. You can also, if you want to rebrand, create a new style. So if you have like your competitors or if you have aspirational companies that you want to align your tone to, you can say, hey, I'm really liking, let's say if you're a sportswear company, I'm really liking Nike's look and feel and the modernization of the brand. You know, help me align my tone and my brand that's to Nike or a similar company. And then it can provide those insights for you and you can adjust accordingly. Next is generate content. Turn one idea into a platform ready post, which we probably already do already. And if you don't, it's okay. Let's say if you posted on LinkedIn last week and you're like, oh, well, I posted about an event, that's the end. Absolutely not. What we're seeing in the market right now is that people are repurposing their content like never before. So you can have an event 2 years ago and it received an amazing return on investment. You probably got some clients, great press. And if you didn't, it even gives you more reason to repurpose it. And, maybe LinkedIn, you got several hundred or thousand of views, but now you're like, I want to try something on, TikTok or Instagram or even my newsletter. You can have it generate new content or generate your content for those channels. And it can provide recommendations as well. Next we talked about auto scheduling. Tons of tools out there, some are free. But what auto scheduling does is simply already aligns all of your content, the days that it's going to post, and then you're just able to see it from a monthly or a weekly view. And you're able to then say, yep, this looks great, and it posts automatically. Um, Lastly, we have visibility all week. We talked about once we batch our content, we're able to just move forward with whether it's operations, our client funnels, or even the different areas of our business. So really great on that front. Your content works while you don't. Of course, there's situations where, something might come up, whether, let's say if you are in the, I don't know, healthcare space and outbreak happens and you're about to post something that is maybe time sensitive or you want to talk about it. You can then update your content and or have your AI update your content that then kind of talks about that outbreak or maybe talk about some healthcare policy that came about. So those are just some ways and examples that you can use AI. So the great thing is that there is a founder's field guide that I created that provides step-by-step detailed workflows. So it helps with marketing, ops, and client funnels. Again, those are our 3 areas of expertise. It's very practical. You'll have hands-on exercises, which are really exciting because they're built into the systems of today. I'm actually going to show it to you guys as well, so you can kind of get a sneak peek of all the insights and the goodies that are in there. It is copy ready, so we have prompts that you can use out the gate um, if you're unfamiliar on how to create a prompt or how to create a prompt that yields the results you're looking for. This guide has it for you and also has a template, so you can also customize it if you need to. And then momentum. You're gaining structure, you're gaining clarity. I think a lot of us at this point may have some type of branding. We have our business, we're established, and now we really just want to use AI for leverage and for growth. And if you're not there, that's okay too. So building your first workflow. You want to get the guide, as I'll show it to you guys, and then you can book a session with me where we'll walk through agentic AI. I think we talked a little bit about it, but there's 2 types of agentic AIs that are currently on the market that are open for general consumption. One is OpenClaw, and the other one is Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork has a lot more guardrails. If you're non-technical, if you want to take, smaller steps to using automated agents, I would go with Claude Codework. If you are technical and if you need a more robust system, we could definitely go with OpenClaw. But again, these are some things that, you book the session, we kind of talk through your goals, what your business requirements are, and you would want to at least have everything in the guide completed before moving forward. I can just give you an example of how I use Claude Cowork now. One of the best ways that I use Claude Cowork, and you can actually have access to it if you pay the subscription, which is the pro plan is like $20 a month. Um, but Claude Cowork, you download it to your computer. So it's on your computer. And then from there, it can actually do file management for you. So if your computer has tons of folders, different files everywhere, some things are organized, some things aren't organized, you can have it literally organize all of your files, the nomenclature, if you have like a certain setup that you like, and it will do it while running in the background. Then, if you're like, you know what, this is great, I want to do it for my drive, my Google Drive as well, and you might have multiple Google Drives, you might have multiple different accounts. It can do it across all Google Drives. However, it does it one at a time. So that's just the benefit of Google Cowork. So next, we want to map out those opportunities. So, identify different AI opportunities that you can build for your automation roadmap. It doesn't have to be 3 to 6 months. The way AI is moving so quickly, I would pretty much recommend between 1 to 3 months, depending on your business needs. And the reason I'm saying that is because a lot of these agentics have came out like Open, Claw, and Cowork this year in January. And so we're seeing a lot of new features, new capabilities. And the great thing about that is that the more people who use it, the easier it becomes. But also, the more people who use it, the greater the scale becomes as well. So if you can kind of adapt to it a little bit earlier, you're able to kind of get in a little, earlier and understand how to scale your business and how to use these tools early on to support your business growth. And lastly, build systems. So I think the conversation about tools, we're seeing that conversation kind of transition into automation and really orchestrating AI. And if you're in between that gap of, all right, I know a few tools and I want to orchestrate, this is the sweet spot where Ocean AI sits in. So we create systems that run your work autonomously. So now I'm going to show you guys where you can buy the guide, which if you go to oceanlifeai.com, this is our website. And from here, you just click on store and you're able to see the AI in a day field guide. Right now I have it for $37. It's a promotion for LAEDC for all you guys that are attending. And for those who are kind of like, before I purchase, I want to understand what's in the guide. Don't worry, I'll share a little bit more about what's in the guide for you guys as well. 1 second. I had everything pulled up for y'all. Okay. Oh, can't see the screen. Why can't we see the screen? Share. Okay, got it. Let's see. I just need someone to nod when you guys see. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Hold on. When you see the AI in a day. This is the Founders Field Guide. So if someone can just nod, please don't take screenshots. I did want to share this with you guys because it is of value. And I think for folks who are wanting to move from, the day-to-day of being involved in AI to kind of having some automation, this is super helpful. Um, so a little bit about it. You can see where a lot of us are now. We're using AI for individual tasks and drafts, but where the guide takes you, we're going to definitely do a lot of workflows and help you initiate automation. It's 7 chapters. and it takes 7 days. And I would say probably an hour a day. If you can dedicate an hour a day, you'll be able to really get in a good spot to then say, all right, I'm ready to get some agents, or I'm ready to kind of automate this even further. So, chapter one, we talked about prompts to process, and how to think differently about AI. Chapter three, we already mentioned a lot about those operational frameworks, the three AI pillars, which is marketing, ops, and client funnel. Chapters three, four, and five, we dive a little deeper into those and how to really create those automations. Six is your AI toolkit, so setting everything up. It tells you step by step, simple. It's really beginner friendly. And then seven, in order for us to really like have it down packed, is really like how can you teach someone what you know. It doesn't mean you're teaching all of your business practices or all your automation tools, but if you find value, which you will, the skills that you learn, you can then translate or transfer over to, a colleague, a coworker, um, a potential partner, if you will. So it covers a lot on how to get started. We talk about freemium tools. So if you haven't used some of these tools, that's okay. We cover the different tools that you can use. We talk about the batching content, how to do so, the prompt that you can use, repurposing your content. There's a prompt there, um, the try it workflow. And then I just want to make sure that you guys can see where it shows the different tools, because I think that's also important. We have it broken down to where you feel very confident on how to use each and every one of these tools. It gives a little bit of understanding about, the where they came from, what the benefits of the tools are, and how you can use them. Um, and again, with Ocean AI, we're really big on freemium tools, meaning low barrier entry. You can set up out the box. All you need is an email account. So we walk you through setting up those workflows, the difference between free versus paid, um, and then how to teach someone. And I think what's going to be super beneficial here for everyone as well is that the prompts at a glance. A lot of us, we know how to ask AI certain things, but these prompts are really specific to getting us to those places where we're closing the gap with our marketing, our operations, and our client funnels. And so that guide should be super helpful for you. It's very easy to work through. And again, it's a really great starting point if you're looking to really have agents within your company to support your business as a whole. I want to stop there. Um, Go back to desktop and see if there are any questions, and also ask you guys some questions too when it comes around AI, to see if there's any, like, a lot of people may have fears around it. They might have questions on, how to scale, or, just general questions.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kelly. Very informative and educational. We do have a couple of questions actually surrounding around the educational aspect of your presentation. Are you able to give an example of a prompt that could use today, that businesses could use today, that might be helpful for a business?
That's a really good one. I think
Mhm.
it depends on what we're looking for, right? Because each business is different. So when we think about prompts, and let me see if I can potentially go to, let's say, an AI platform. I would like to ask too, though, regarding that question. Um, when we think about businesses in AI prompts and what can be beneficial to them, every business may have different goals in mind. So the more specific that we can get in our prompts, or the more specific we can get around our goals, the better the output would be. So for whoever asks that question, let's say if you're struggling with, or if the challenge may be, hey, my business is, I'm looking to scale it, or I'm looking to, find what my top products are, or I'm looking for whatever the case may be. That's really going to help guide your prompt. What I can share, I'll share this with you guys. Um, I do have 10 prompts. I wasn't planning on sharing this, but I will, um, that are really specific and could be helpful. Let's see if I can find them for you guys. And it covers majority of the functions. I'm going to stop sharing just because some of this information is proprietary for clients. And then I'll reshare once I have it pulled up. So let me see really quickly. All right, cool. Because that's a really great question. And so I do have some, not necessarily generic prompts, but I would say some prompts that majority of businesses could find beneficial and useful. So let me pull this up for you all. And while I do that, are there any other questions as it relates to either those three areas? Um,
Yeah, well, I would say there's one that that's asking question about workflows and creating workflows. So how using AI to create workflows. So what is being described is available. What would you say as far as creating workflows
mhm.
within AI?
Yeah. Okay. No, those are great too. All right. So while I process that in the background,
Okay.
there's a few workflows that we can create using AI. Here I have some 10 prompts to increase business productivity that I created for a few clients. And these prompts are really great. I wasn't planning on sharing it, but see what I can do is I can also download this and send it to you, and we can send it to all the attendees to have. But we can go over a few, maybe in the call, and then we'll switch over to the workflows. So the first one is analyze certain platforms. Let's say it's your website, or let's say it's if you have a CRM like an Airtable, or if you have something like an Excel spreadsheet that you can download, right? You can then upload that into AI. And you can get customer service data to identify and automate maybe like your, time-consuming task or anything that is really, really like taking away a lot of your time and you're not able to focus on. Again, whether it's increasing your business revenue, driving your goals, working with your teams, or scaling. So that could be one. Another one could be, design dynamic pricing strategies based on a competitor analysis and then demand patterns. So it can include monitoring metrics and segment specific price points. What does that mean? So let's say if you have a product-based business, you sell candles, you sell lotions, and maybe you're more of a boutique business, and you're like, hey, there's a lot of local candle shops in the area, and I really, I have a luxury candle business, and for whatever reason, I have the same clients and I'm looking to grow my clientele. You might ask AI to then design dynamic pricing strategies on the competitors in your local area or that are comparable to your brand or business. And then from there, it'll give you a high level view of like, hey, these certain segments or these certain demographics of customers are aligned with your product. If you're selling locally, it might even suggest, the seasonality of you selling your candles, what type of festivals are going around, what type of, community initiatives or local organizations could support your brand or your candle business. Another one, evaluate marketing campaigns. Well, that's a marketing one. Let's see. Number 9, design review management systems. Create a response template, escalation workflow, and sentiment tracking dashboard with alert triggers. So this is really great when it comes to anything that is proprietary or that you need to sign off on, and you're working with a team and you're creating kind of like a SOP, right? So with this workflow, it's really saying, hey, in order for this to go to a client or go external, these requirements need to be met. It talks about an escalation workflow, right? So let's say if something does go to a client, well, where does that, fault lie? How do we escalate to make sure it doesn't happen again? Or how do we prevent it and mitigate it from never happening? So it can create an escalation workflow that you can have, in your company directory or in your drive. So when you onboard someone, if you have an intern, or even if you need to kind of look back at it and say, hey, before I do this step, let me make sure I am, checking off this checklist or checking off something to make sure that I can go move from one area to the next. And then lastly, I'll just give number 5. We talked about batch content creating. This one says from 12-month social data, extract high-performing content themes, optimal posting times, and response templates aligned with your brand voice. This is important. Let's say if you're building out your content batch for the week, right? And you're kind of telling yourself, I want to pull from this post that I had on LinkedIn, but I also want to make sure that whatever theme that I'm pulling from, that is high performing. So before you even say, hey, create or repurpose this post, first analyze it. Is it high performing? Is it something that I should be posting? When should I post it? And then give me some responses, because a lot of times we post and we have people, try to interact and engage with us. And if you don't have the time or the commitment to respond to everything. So we want to ask it like, hey, create some responses that I can just copy and paste into these social media platforms. And again, we talked about kind of like feeling we're always in the loop, and that kind of gives us that copy and paste element, right? We're going to move from in the loop, copying and pasting, to having an agent to then create the responses, and then you approve it, and then it automatically adds a response into your social media platform. But before we get there, I think this is a good starting point. That's where we are now. So these are just a few prompts that you can use for business productivity. Now, we talked about workflows, automating workflows. I'm going to show, oh, I wish can I show? I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to think it through. I think it'll be okay. Let's see. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. So one automated workflow that I am extremely in support of is Jotform. So can we see my screen? All right, perfect. So I'm just going to sign in here. Give me 1 second. So I think I'm a visual learner, so I want you guys to see what's going on here. So we talked a lot about the marketing pillar. We touched on a little bit about the operations pillar, but let's talk about the client funnel. So when I think about Jotform, which is a free platform with AI capabilities, the one thing I love about it is that you can create a client intake form. So let's say if you have a client intake form with Google Forms, you might have it with, a different platform, etc. Well, with Jotform, you might see a lot of Black LA Tech Week. I'm the founder of Black LA Tech Week, so just, for reference. But with Jotform, what I really like is that you can create an intake form. So this is just I created this last year for an example, but you can create a generic intake form. And then from there, this one, kind of shows you a little bit. Be mindful of time here. I have my name, email, all the different data points that you're looking for for your potential client. You can then publish it to your website. You can publish it to your social media. You can publish it to, it could be standalone if you wanted it to be. But the thing that I really like about it is that now that you have your client intake form, it can create a CRM. So you have the simple CRM. I won't show it because it has customer data and client data. But after it creates that CRM, it can then also create an chatbot for you. So you can integrate your intake form into your agent. And so this agent can be a standalone agent and or it can operate as a chatbot on your website. Right now, no, sorry guys, it actually is built into my Gmail account as well. I don't know what this is, but hopefully it's not too bad. Let me just schedule it. Here we go. So this is my agent. I think her name is Simone. Um, and you can build your agent out. So if you have, we talked about that field guide, we have our brand and our tone and our, what our business is about. We have, let's say, your capability statement, you have what your products and services and offerings are. You can use AI to create a FAQ, frequently asked question sheet. You can add all of that information into your agent. So right now I have 13 files. You can add links. So maybe, if you want to add some historical information or your website, you can add that into your agent and feed it into your agent as well. And then your knowledge entries, you can actually talk to your agent to make sure that it's answering the questions the way that in which you would want it to answer. And then you can publish it. So this can help a lot if you have a lot of, potential clients and they're asking the same questions. You can say, oh, so grateful to have you on as a client or a potential client. Please reach out to Simone or ask Simone any additional questions that you may have. And it can interact with your agent and get those questions answered, as well as do an intake form for you. So you don't have to continue to send out the intake form or the process. Your agent does it on your behalf. And I think that's such a game changer for small businesses, and we are always interacting with potential clients and customers. So when I think about a workflow, I definitely think having an intake form, having an agent, and then putting it on your website or putting it somewhere that's accessible could be a potential workflow leveraging AI. And then I think we saw that last component where it's integrated into my email. And so I have my business email integrated into JotForm, and my AI agent is actually the one who's responding because it has all of my information that I put into it. So when a client emails me, or if I'm working on a project and I just don't have the bandwidth to always, dedicate so much time to it, it already creates the email on my behalf. It does not send the email, but it does create it on my behalf. And I'm able to review it, look at it, add any revisions, and send it off. And that saves me so much time. And so that's just a workflow that you can use. I think I told you it is free. If you see up here, there's already 10,000 conversations that have happened. I don't know why it's free, but it is. So that's just, really good about accessibility. And that's just a workflow that you can use that doesn't necessarily leverage like a chat, GPT or Claude, but it is another AI platform or AI integrated platform that has been super helpful.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Kelly. It looks like you're getting an influx of questions coming in, and I know we only have about like 10 minutes, but I'm going to go through them really quickly.
Okay.
So, as far as a new business owner or a business owner that completely new to AI, what are some suggestions on how to get familiar with it, and then how to start implementing it into your business? What would you say, like in a couple of words?
Yeah, I would say YouTube.
YouTube. Okay.
If you are new to AI and you're like, I don't want to put my email into any of these platforms. I'm
Mhm.
not sure what's happening. There's risk involved, of course, and you're just cautious, and that's okay. I think being
Yeah.
AI cautious is totally acceptable and totally fine, and I understand that. I would say YouTube. I would go to YouTube and I would say, hey, for new business owners, or no, sorry, for business owners who are looking to use AI, um, where should I get started? So
Hmm.
that's a really good spot. Of course, you can come to Ocean AI, we can walk you through it. But if you're just in that curious stage and you're kind of like, I just want to learn and do a little bit more research on my own, I think YouTube is a great place to start. Um, I'm trying to think of any YouTubers that I could recommend. I can't think of any off my head, just because I use AI in a different capacity. But I'm sure there's tons out there that you can probably just kind of go and learn a little bit about. So yeah, I would definitely recommend YouTube as a starting point if you are AI curious.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Well, we have a comment here that says that, they thought they knew how to use AI, but you've made them realize how much more about AI there is. And now they are super curious to play with AI, from your presentation. And they know that learning on how to create the best prompts.
Yeah.
So that definitely is great information right there. What would you consider the most important thing for a beginner to learn when learning to use AI? What is that one key word that you would say?
You said it, prompt. Prompt
Prompt.
engineering. Yes. When you're using AI, it's all about your prompts. You can ask it the most generic question and you're going to get the most generic response. So the more specific, especially if you're using like a Claude or a ChatGPT, the more specific, the better. Canva, I wish I could show you guys this. If you're looking to do quick 5-second videos that look super high
Mhm.
quality, you can use Canva. They have a Canva AI Magic Studio integration, and you can actually use a simple prompt and get higher quality.
Mhm.
So let me take a step back here because I know what I just said can kind of be a little confusing. Depending on your outcome, if you're looking for something that's super robust in scale, maybe you're thinking about a business development plan, maybe you're wanting to create a master brief for your business or something to that magnitude. You want to have more specific, specific, you'll be more specific in your prompts. With creating generative AI videos, pictures, images, depending on the tool you use, it could be a little bit more natural language, more simple and simplistic.
Okay, wonderful. So, as a small business retail shop owner, here, not too familiar with AI and not currently using it. However, what do I need to be aware of in terms of how AI will impact my business outlook?
What type of business is it?
They're not mentioning what kind of business it is.
What's so interesting for someone, what I would say, there's actually a great tool. It's an AI tool called Perplexity AI.
Purple.
And that question, you can literally put that question into Perplexity. It's free. And it will give you the most robust, complete picture of what to expect when it comes to how AI will impact your industry. But what you
Okay.
want to include is your business, what it does, how long you've been established. The more information you can put into it will definitely help build out a bigger and clearer picture for you. And you can also ask it to forecast projections, like, hey, give me year-over-year projections on how AI is going to trend in my industry and what I should be cognizant of. And if you don't want to use I would even input that and say, hey, I'm not really wanting to use AI. So how can I still be a true competitor in the market? And it'll
Hmm.
provide suggestions for you. I will say that it's interesting take, to use AI to get to that response, but it scrubs the internet so well, and you can Perplexity shows you the sources, and you can always check those sources. But that's why I love Perplexity. It cites its sources, so it's not just hallucinating or getting the information from, these different training data sets. So that's a really great way to get started.
Okay, great. Now, quick question. As far as, and I think we kind of covered it a little bit, but there are businesses out there that just want that quick, just give me that quick information on AI so they can kind of build on. What would you suggest? I know you mentioned YouTube, but what is there anything in particular that you suggest that businesses can kind of peek into?
Yeah. So that's a good question. I I mean, when I think about peeking into AI, there's so many avenues, there's so many lanes that you can access, so many accessible touch points. Let's say, for instance, if you are one who wants to be a little bit more educated around AI infrastructure and learning the ins and outs, you can go to Microsoft. There's an AI course, a free course that you can take. Um, if you are kind of interested in just best business practices with AI. There's so many great governmental workshops, such as this one that LAEDC provide that, the the county has different courses, SCORE and PACE. Um, if you're kind of wanting to get more one-on-one insights, please book a consultation. I'm here to support you. I'm here to encourage you, and I'm here to make sure that you are understanding AI and what's best for your business. So there's tons of avenues that you can go through, but I would say the low barrier of entry, the one that doesn't take so much effort, would be you YouTube or signing up for these workshops. Oh,
Wonderful. Yeah, that's it. And by the way, that business was a retail clothing shop.
a
Um,
retail.
yeah,
Oh,
it was
oh,
a retail clothing
that
shop.
is
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
because yeah, we can talk on that one. There's a lot of what's happening with uh, AI being built into the retail space to where now folks are able to take a full body scan of themselves and then see themselves in that garment. Depending on the different textures and textiles, it will lay with that garment's true natural feel and look to it. I will
Wow.
say, I just went to LA Fashion Week and Beverly Hills Fashion Week, and I'm seeing a lot of new trends and emerging artists come out that are using AI to other sustainability. We're seeing these 3D printed purses. So maybe you don't want to integrate AI within your business, but maybe you would be open to seeing what AI could do for your retail clothing space and how it can optimize in that regard for that way.
Okay, wonderful. So I've actually put Kelly's phone number, email address in the chat. You can always refer to her. And yep. And any other questions before we move on? Okay, wonderful. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for all the great AI information.
Mm,
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
all.
you. Thank you. Great. I think we're going to take a couple of minutes before we get back again. Thank you for sticking along with us. I know that this is quite the master class, but thank you for holding on. So thank you very much, Kelly. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Hey, everybody. We'll get started in the next couple minutes. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and get started. Want to welcome our next presenter, Emmanuel Guzman. And he is the owner of Rich Off the Internet. Thank you so much, Manuel, for joining us today. And I'll go ahead and let you take it from here.
Hi. First of all, I want to thank all the speakers. It was very valuable information regarding the AI and the marketing. So my name is Emmanuel Guzman. I was based in Altadena, California, but I've been operating my business since 2021. What I do is I focus on marketing. So it's a vertically integrated marketing agency. What that means is that we provide digital marketing as well as experiential marketing and event support. In case you ever want to host a marketing campaign, there's ways in which I can help you and your business achieve that. So, within my experience in the industry, I've helped produce over 100 conferences, some of them for very big names such as Adobe, Cisco, Salesforce, NVIDIA, most recently, and many other big brands. I did work in different capacities for each of those events. So in some of them, I would help in registration. Some of them I would help with special support for auxiliary events with C-level executives as well as CEOs. So within my time in business, I have amassed over 150,000 followers throughout the internet. So my digital footprint is very essential for me to be able to get brand partnerships and business opportunities. And then do you want to present the slide? Is that okay? Yeah.
The slides are up. Do you see it on your end, Emmanuel?
I'm seeing your screen, but let's see. Can you see them on your side?
Yes, I see it.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. I've got your agenda and PowerPoint up right now.
Let's see. Because usually it appears on your screen. But...
I think everybody can see it.
Okay, let me pull it up on my end just because I'm not seeing it on the Zoom, but give me one sec.
Sure, no problem.
Is there any way to share your screen to show it on yours?
So it is shared on my screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see.
If I probably try to stop share, then share again.
Yeah, maybe try that.
Okay, give me one second.
Right now I'm seeing you on the screen. I'm not seeing the...
Okay, no worries. Okay, give me one second. Okay, sure. Okay, do you see it now?
Okay, I see it now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Can we go to page one? Like one?
Sure.
So thank you.
Sorry. Give me 1 second. Okay, there you go.
All right, so I just want to walk you guys through the different AIs. I know this is not going to be related to necessarily AI, but nowadays websites and AI, they're heavily connected. So it's like to find a modern website that doesn't use AI is rare now. So AI and websites have become one. So I just bring this point up to you guys because if you guys see this background with the screens and the digital images and stuff like that, that was actually created through an AI called Midjourney. So we use AI for different ways, but practical way that you can use your AI for your website is to create images. And you can also use this to create, for example, if you're running like a promotion sale, like a seasonal promotion sale, you're able to create, seasonal promotions very quick and put that on your website. So that the background on this was made through AI called Midjourney, and then where it says .com, .ai, .net, and .io, that was using Canva AI. So just a brief little intro of how I made this. And we can go to the next page. So this is going to be the PowerPoint. We're going to start off with the introduction, welcome and objectives, my professional background, audience check. We're going to then go on to how websites improve your credibility and its benefits, the different website use cases, different domain providers, domain names and extensions, the type of websites that you can create, whether it's WordPress, drag and drop, custom code, even AI websites now. We're going to go over how to register your domain. For those who do not own a website, you're going to be able to go through from step 1 through 10 to, figure out how to actually launch a website, touch a little bit of funnels and SEO, and then I'm gonna tell you a few tools, AI tools that you can use to improve your website for front end and back end. Then we're gonna go over domain maintenance, which means tracking your analytics, collecting data and using that data, which is called data ingestion, to perform certain tools for you and tips and tricks for your website so you can, gain traffic and essentially increase your sales through that. And then also we're going to touch a little bit about how social apps changed websites and the value of websites, because nowadays, right, back then, like our digital footprint wasn't as big as today. Now people have an Instagram, a Facebook, a TikTok, a Twitter. They have 20 different social apps. So like you can still have a presence on the internet without a website, but there's still a value proposition for having a website. So we're going to go over that. And then I'm also going to communicate stats and trends on how websites evolved and how sales and e-commerce and websites have continued to grow even since the pandemic, but even today and moving forward. So we can go on to the next page. So the next slide, it's going to dive more into networking because I think networking is very important. I see we have a lot of participants in here, so I want to give you guys the opportunity to connect with each other on the spot. So yeah, a little bit about my background. I did study at UCLA. I also studied at UC Santa Cruz. I studied economics and international business. And then professionally, I've been involved in a lot of different industries, one of them being the AI industry, as well as even like marketing like food and beverage products. So it's very diverse. But if we go on to the next slide. Okay, so this is an opportunity for you guys to connect with me. If you guys take a picture of this, you can do this later, or you guys can also click this link on the chat, which is going to provide my LinkedIn. Give me 1 sec. Yeah. Is the chat open for everyone? Is it okay? Perfect. Okay, so that's my LinkedIn. But one thing that I do want is for everyone in the Zoom to be able to connect with one another. So you can use this as an opportunity to drop your LinkedIn, your website, and even if you want to add a little bit of about a bio about yourself on the chat, this is a great opportunity because we'll be able to connect with one another on the spot. So just give a few moments for that. And if you guys want to do it later, feel free anytime. Just drop your LinkedIn on the chat. That way we can all connect with one another. You can also drop your email or whatever you feel like sharing. Okay, so you guys feel free to do that throughout the session. That way we can all connect with one another. And then, yeah, we can move on to the next slide. So why are websites important today? I mentioned that there's a lot of social apps. We all have a digital footprint now, regardless whether we have a website or not. But websites really are here to establish credibility. And I'm just going to read this quote for you guys. So, most customers expect a business to have a website. If they can't find one, they may question whether the business is legitimate. A professional website helps you show your business is real, established, and trustworthy. So your website builds credibility because in order to register a website, you have to authenticate yourself as a human, authenticate yourself as a person. So that shows trust within customers because, you've been authenticated through, whether you use GoDaddy, whether you use Shopify, any of these sources, it's a stamp. You're not going anywhere and it also shows that you're invested in yourself and you're invested in your company, so people value that more, customers value that more. And then we can go on to the next slide. So websites are highly important because they're available 24/7. So essentially your website, if it's done correctly, can work for you when you're not working on it yourself, right? So it's almost like a passive opportunity. So I know earlier Kelly mentioned like creating chat bots, for example, with job forms. So nowadays, chat bots are becoming more realistic for small businesses. In the beginning, chat bots were mainly used through enterprises, and they were very expensive in order for you to have like a chat bot that answers, for example, Q&As on your websites and facts, like frequently answered questions. So back in the past, that was very expensive. So a small to medium-sized business wouldn't always necessarily incorporate that in their website. But now we have like hundreds of different apps coming out that essentially allow you to create affordable agentic AI agents. So when I say agentic AI agents, these are agents that either respond to your chat in an automated way through Q&As or through fax. They can do several other things like collect data. They can transcribe data, give you notes on who's visiting your website and different type of metrics. Like for example, how long are people visiting your website for? What are they clicking? By doing that, you're able to determine who's your market demographic is and get closer to the sale. But essentially, yeah, if you do this correctly, and especially incorporating AI, your website can literally work for you 24/7. Then we can go on to the next page. So not everyone who has a website is trying to make a sale essentially on their website. So a website can still be useful for you, even if if your point of sale is not going to be on your website. These are the different use cases for websites. I'm just going to read them one by one. So information and education. So blogs, um, newsletters, news and updates. So your website can serve that purpose. Then there's also e-commerce and transactions websites where you can sell a physical product or a digital course. You can get a on-demand sale on the spot. Your website can also be used as lead generation, where you can do that in the form of contact forms, quote requests, newsletter signups, and landing pages. Landing pages are, for example, when you click on a website and something pops up like right away, and they offer some sort of incentive, and then it usually asks for like an email, right? So that's data that's being collected. These emails are being collected, but these emails could now then be used on AI apps where um, you, for example, if you have 100 site visitors and 100 people input their email, they can create an email list that sends automated email blasts on updates of your brand or special incentives or seasonal promos that you have going on. So websites are also there to build branding and credibility. I'll touch into this a little bit more. For example, so I go to these very I would say prestigious or very qualified like conferences, right? And sometimes, these conferences are very expensive to get in. Sometimes they can be $2,000 to $3,000 to get in, which is great. But within these conferences, there's also auxiliary events where you're able to, for example, network with CEOs, C-level executives, people in upper management. So these events could take place in a restaurant, in a certain lounge. So they're not really after parties. They're classified as auxiliary events. But in order to get accepted to these events, one of the things that they require is number one, your basic stuff, first name, last name, your LinkedIn. They also ask for your website, and on top of that, they ask for your professional email. So how does this relate to creating and owning a website? So a professional email, once you buy your website, your domain is attached to the ending of your email. That's a professional email. So without the website, you can have the professional email. And without the professional email, you most likely will not be accepted to these high level, high net worth networking opportunities. So it's important to have a website, not only to get sales, but also to get invited into exclusive events, exclusive executive events. So your website can also be used for communication and support, to publish media such as like content, videos, whether it's videos or images. And I guess we'll go on to the next slide, just to keep in mind the time. Your website can also be like a community. So kind of like a Reddit where you have a forum and people are chatting with each other and they're using your website as a way to connect with one another. So your website can do that. It can also provide tools and utilities. So it really depends, because when we say website, like that's very broad, right? So a website is going to be different for the medical field, and it's going to be different for example, someone who's trying to create like the next Facebook or something like that. They're all going to be different. So, but essentially, yeah, your website can create tools and utilities. So you can link certain APIs, for example, to provide updated news, to provide automated data on certain things, and that's all done through linking APIs. That gets more like technical, but if you're doing that type of stuff, most likely you're working with like a computer engineer, because that involves more coding. You can also use your website to do recruitment and careers, and also analytics and dashboards and events and scheduling. And typically, someone with the website wants to achieve 2 out of 4 of these different use cases on their website to make their website more valuable for consumers and for visitors to be able to go to your website. So you want to provide at least 2 to 4 of these things. So this is pretty general. So with search engines like Google, and now, Kelly and mentioned like the AI with I guess what's called GEO, generative engine optimization, which is like ChatGPT searches, um, and AI searches. People can, search for your products and they can find you. A website allows your business to appear in search results so new customers can discover you. The scalability for you to achieve is immense, with the possibility to reach millions of site visitors. So, the opportunity to scale with the website is there. You just have to do it correctly. And then the way you do that is by, obviously building trust within your customers, providing a funnel in your website where first you start off with the net, you get the people to the website, then you give a bio about the product, what makes it different. Then you talk about your credibility, you build the trust, and then lastly, you offer an incentive and then the sale. So think of it as a funnel. And we'll go on to the next. So your website can be used as a marketing and advertising hub. So your website can connect all your marketing social media platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, email marketing, and online ads. Linking all social app sources to your website and directing each one of your social apps to your website will create a web funnel that increases your traffic, your SEO. Platforms like Linktree help you achieve this. So nowadays, it's very, very important for you to utilize social apps to increase the SEO in your website. And me personally, I have like over five, maybe over seven like different social apps. LinkedIn, Facebook, X, so many of them. I said Facebook already, but so many different social apps. But one thing that I do ensure is that every single social app that I have leads to my website. So I make sure that every social app that I have funnels to my website, and I make sure my website funnels to all my social media apps. So it's an interconnected relationship where I'm getting, backlink clicks all the time and I'm increasing my SEO just because everything is interconnected the proper way. And you want to ensure that there is consistency in the branding as well. Like, for example, your brand should have similar branding on Instagram as it does on LinkedIn. Like, it should all be consistency, because one thing that you don't want to do is confuse your customer on what is it that you're offering and what incentive you're giving. So we can go on to the next. So instead of sending people everywhere, you send them to one central place, your website. Your website showcases your products or services. You should display photos, descriptions, pricing, customer reviews, portfolio or past work. This helps customers understand why they should choose you. And I think one of the most important parts is customer reviews and testimonials, because without the trust, most likely you're not going to get a sale unless your product is, very unique and differentiated. Then in that case, you obviously don't have that much competition. But nowadays, as we mentioned, like with the gas prices, like people are shopping around. They're saying, well, who can achieve my goal and who can do it for, a cheaper price? And not necessarily because um and not necessarily because a cheaper price is going to yield a lower quality, but just because, there's a lot of people offering the same services. So you got to be able to differentiate yourself and stand out among different brands, providing whatever you provide in business, whether that's a physical product or even like a digital asset. So we can go on to the next. So even small businesses can look professional online. A good website can help you compete with larger companies by showing your expertise, your unique value, and your brand personality. The potential of scaling and growing your company is possible with the World Wide Web. You can generate leads with your website. Contact forms receive client interest data by collecting emails. You can add them to your business email contact list, where they then automate ads through websites like MailChimp, MailerLite, ActiveCampaign, and ConvertKit. So that's where I mentioned where you can collect data from your website and then send email blasts. For example, with MailChimp, you can send over 100 emails at once within minutes, offering your incentive. And then MailerLite, ActiveCampaign, and ConvertKit, those are also similar tools. That's when you start getting more into um, automating email lists and your website. So MailChimp, I do recommend that one because it's super user friendly, and it does cost money if you upgrade certain packages, but it's not too expensive, and it's considered like a entry level one where anyone can incorporate it, even small businesses. So yeah, websites can help you achieve online booking, e-commerce stores, and then quote requests. And because not you don't always, for example, if you're doing a consulting project, you're typically not always going to have a price of what it costs to do a project, because there's so many complexities in it in the marketing campaign. So for example, having a quote request is very important because you know depending on your product, there might not be a fixed price. So a quote request allows you to capture high intent leads, and keep them interested, keep them in the hook. That way you guys can talk about um, the details, and then give a more accurate pricing figure. So the main thing with your website is just keeping them near the sale, and then keeping them in communication. The sale will come eventually, but the main thing is keeping the interest. If you keep the interest, and then you're able to spark the conversation, and then you're able to spark to build the trust, then you'll most likely get to the sale. And then we can go on to the next one. Okay, so for those of I'm just kind of wondering, like, how many people here on this webinar have a website? If you have a website, can you guys comment 1 on the chat? And if you don't have a website, can you comment 0? I kind of just want to get a feel for like where you guys are at. Okay, awesome. Okay, awesome. Okay, so a few people don't have a website. Okay, sweet. Okay, we can move on to the next slide. And then yeah, feel free to keep commenting, guys. So essentially, when I was introduced to be a speaker here, I was told to go in depth, but also start from A through Z. So this is more for the people who don't have a website yet, or who are looking to create another website, and like they might have started their website a very long time ago, and they're thinking about creating a new website from scratch. So step 1, it's pretty simple. You go to the registrar's website and use the domain tool. For example, if you're going on GoDaddy, you go on godaddy.com, you search up the website that you would like to purchase. If it's not available, you might be able to change the extension, which is the ending part of the website, like the .com, .co, .net. You might still be able to get, for example, if you want cool shoes.com, that might not be available, but coolshoes.co might be available, or coolshoes.net might still be available. So just because .com might not be available, you can still search different extensions and still achieve that similar phrase or word that you want on your website domain name. And then as far as the value of domain, short and easy to spell names work the best. And then trending keywords will build value on the actual value of the website domain name. Because when I think about a business, I think about like the overall value of a business. Like, for example, if you own a 1-letter domain, like t.com, that's going to be highly valuable because it's super short. So like shorter domains are valued more. So when you create your website, you want to, you want to take everything into account. You want your website to be valuable, your domain to be valuable. You want your sales to be strong. You want, relationships, your pipelines that you have. It all has to be there essentially. And then go on to the next page. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, when you're thinking about creating a new website, think about the extension that you want to pick. So here we have .com, .ai, .net, .org, .co, .io. So these are all different extensions, and the way that Google and the internet categorizes these extensions essentially help categorize what type of business you have. So .com is more general, like anything from health to science to tech to retail to restaurants, you name it, like they might use .com. But then you go into like .ai, and then like .ai obviously it's going to be more like tech and software companies that are going to use that. .ai is a trending extension. So the price of .ai domains are going up over time, just because it's trending so much. And then .net, not as much. I don't see it as much. .org is very popular for like nonprofits and organizations. And then you got .co, which is kind of general, but not too general. That can be also versatile as far as industries. But then you have .io, which is also in the tech and software and the gaming side. And then we'll go on to the next slide, just so you guys can see a screenshot of that. So I bring this all up because it's important to pick the right extension for the website that you're planning on creating. And if you're going, if for example, we want to do a rebranding, you should consider different extensions as well. So .com is best for almost everything. It's the most trusted for business brands and general websites. .ai is popular for artificial intelligence and tech. .net is important for networks and tech. .org is best for nonprofits, charities, communities, and organizations. Then you have .co, which is used by startups and modern brands. So you notice modern brands is pretty vague. So it's a pretty general domain. So if you don't want to go .com, you can go with .co. And .co is pretty good because it's a shorter extension. It's easier for users to type and then be motivated to even visit your website. Because you guys got to remember, we live in a distracted society where people are either on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, 1,000 things going on. They got news everywhere hitting them left and right. So you got to keep your customers hooked, and you got to make it easy for them to visit your website. Then we also have .io, which is popular for tech startups and developers. We can go on to the next page. So how many extensions are there? There's actually over 1,500 domain extensions. TLDs exist today. So generic TLDs are like the most popular, like .com, .net, .xyz. And then you also have the country code extensions, which are like .us, .uk, .jp. So what does TLD mean? A top level domain, TLD, that's what it stands for, top level domain, is the last segment of a domain name. They are essential for categorizing websites by purpose, organization type, geography, aiding navigation, and brand identity. So again, this is why picking the right extension is important, because that's also going to affect your SEO. Because by picking a certain domain, Google is able to classify the niche of the business that you're in. Thus, they're going to be able to drive traffic to your website, but not just any traffic, the right traffic that might actually end up being a consumer one day. We'll go on to the next. So this is one exercise that I wanted you guys to do, but this is more geared towards like if you don't own a website, but also if you want to know the value of your website. The GoDaddy valuation tool is very good at giving you like an estimate of how much your website is working. If you guys just Google GoDaddy valuation tool, it may work. It should work actually. But there is also another link that I'm going to provide, and the company is called Atom. Um, Give me one sec. But yeah, this is an exercise. So if you guys can take a few minutes to try to use GoDaddy, the GoDaddy valuation tool, just on your computer right now. Think about a domain that you're considering buying, or if you want to look up your actual website that you own right now, just out of curiosity, like feel free to search the value of it. You don't have to comment what domain you looked up, because if you're gonna end up buying it, I don't want anyone else to take your name or anything. So just keep that sensitive data to yourself. But just keep in mind, like, your domain is being valued as far as the actual domain. But I also attached another company that does really well for this. It's called Atom.com. So you can also use that tool. I mean, if anyone actually got a valuation tool, or if anyone actually used a valuation tool, feel free to type in the chat like what type of value you got, or why it less than 100. Okay, 1300. Awesome. See, that one's more valuable. Okay, sweet. And then yeah, so Atom is an AI tool. So what it's doing, it's pulling data from different sources, and probably thousands of different sources for your domain name, and then it's like comparing it to similar domains that have similar keywords, and then that's how it's kind of giving you the estimate. But yeah, so this is very important. I do recommend using the GoDaddy evaluation tool before you actually end up purchasing your website, just to get an idea of how much the website's going to be worth. Because you got to keep in mind, maybe you're a sole proprietor and you own the company entirely, and you don't plan on selling it, so you don't care about the domain being valuable. But maybe one day you actually want to exit the company. You want to sell it to a big partner and just have a successful exit, or maybe you want to get a business partner, right? So you want to show the value of of your company to your business partner from A through Z. And for example, if your website's worth $10,000, $20,000, that's something that your partner might be interested in, and that's something that might be able to help you package the deal to get your business either bought or invested in. So we can go on to the next tool. And when you go on GoDaddy and Atom, you're going to notice that's going to like measure the value of your domain by, like, for example, keywords, trending keywords. For example, if you have AI or rich or cool, or a popular word in the domain, it's going to boost your value up. Also, if it's shorter, like, so if it's less words, like, your domain is going to be more valuable. And the reason why, again, is because it's easier for your consumers to type the domain and visit it, but it's also easier for them to remember the domain name. So that's how this is kind of being valued. So selecting the right domain extension is key, because it helps users identify the type of industry and purpose of your website and brand. It can also aid in SEO, search engine optimization. You can go on to the next page. So we kind of already went over this, but yeah, so ensure the availability of your domain that you are interested in. And just because I have a marketing background, another important thing to note is, before you buy the website, also check the social apps like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. See if that website domain is also available on different social apps. Because again, you want your brand to be consistent. So for example, if the name of your company is Cool123, then your website would be cool123.com, but then your Instagram would also be cool123 as a username, and then TikTok will also use cool123. So that is where you create brand consistency. So if the domain is great, but it's not available on different social apps, then you got to figure out a way to still create that consistency. Or you can maybe get creative with the domain name, and then maybe figure out a way where it's also available on the social apps, and then it's all one it's all connected. So we can go on to the next. And yeah, the typical cost is $10 to $20, but I have been seeing a spike in prices. For example, like .ai extension. It's been like, for example, like it increased almost 50% over the past year. And keep in mind that for in step 4, this is creating an account and pay. So obviously, for those who want to create a website, just retract to the slides, and then you'll learn how to buy it. But keep in mind that if you select 1 year registration, your domain ownership will expire after a year. So keep in mind that you should set yourself a timer to pay for that renewal, or at least pay multiple years at once, because the worst thing that you want is to own a website for 10 years, you forget to pay it 1 year, which is your renewal year, and then you lose all that valuable data and that valuable website after 1 year because you forgot to renew it. So just keep that in mind. It's very critical. We'll go on to the next one. So once you buy your domain name, step 5 is connecting it to a host website. So a host website is, for example, WordPress, Wix, Shopify, GoDaddy. That's where you actually build your website and you host your website. This is done by updating the DNS. So when you buy the domain name, you still have to connect it to a host website. So step 1 is buying the domain name through the registrar. Step 2 is connecting it to a host website, which is, for example, GoDaddy. And once you do that by connecting the DNS, the DNS, essentially what it is, I wrote it in simple language, is where did I put it? Oh, so what the DNS does is it converts the website to an IP address. It's pretty confusing, but there's a diagram on the next slide. We can go on to the next slide. So this is the DNS. This is more like on the engineering side. You guys don't really need to know this, but it is an essential step of creating your website. So DNS, it takes your website name and then it creates an IP address, and then Google is able to pull from that IP address, and then people are able to visit the website. Essentially, what it does is it creates a non-static website and makes it live on the World Wide Web. And we can go on to the next slide. And then, so there's different ways to create websites. I'm just gonna go over like the most easiest ones. So for example, drag and drop builders are becoming much more popular. A drag and drop are websites that require no coding. For example, like GoDaddy, Shopify, Wix, like these don't require any coding, and you can do designs quickly because they have templates that it's almost like I don't know if you use Canva, but like when you pop up the PowerPoint slides, there's always templates, right? You can just easily pick a template, plug and play. It's the same thing with drag and drop websites. That's what they are. But the problem with drag and drop websites is that there's limitations on the template, on, for example, things that you can do. So you might not be able to incorporate a chat bot on a drag and drop builder. You might not be able to do more advanced things on the drag and drop builder websites just because they're prerequisite like templates. Then you have e-commerce like Shopify, BigCommerce. You have static generators. You have website builders with code, which is React, Vue. That's more for like creating video games, creating 3D animations. Now we also have no code or low code platforms. So the no code platforms are like the AI platforms, and I'm going to touch a little bit into that. So those also don't require any coding, but they are becoming more advanced, for example, than like the typical drag and drop websites like GoDaddy. So we can go on to the next page. So WordPress is a content management system used to build and manage websites. It's very customizable, thousands of themes and plugins, good for blogs, business sites, and large businesses, and strong SEO capabilities. However, it takes more time to learn. It may require managing hosting and updates, sometimes needs plugins for features. Hosting companies like GoDaddy, Bluehost, and SiteGround often provide WordPress hosting. WordPress powers over 40% of websites on the internet, but it is more costly. So WordPress is going to be more expensive than a drag and drop website. However, WordPress does involve coding, so you can able to retain that coding and migrate it to a different host the website. Um, so essentially, it costs more money, but down the road, it will save you more money because you can retain your code and retain the template of your website. For example, if you design a website through GoDaddy, drag and drop builder, if you want to retain that same template and the same, for example, pages on your website, you can't just take that into, for example, Wix because it's a template. You can't drag and there's no coding. So you can't drag one code to the other because there is no coding. So you got to try to recreate the entire templates and start from scratch if you want to migrate. So that's why WordPress and coded websites are going to be more valuable for the long run because you're able to retain the code and then just migrate it to a different platform, or even if you want to have an entirely different domain name, you can have a new domain name but retain your code. So GoDaddy Website Builder is a drag and drop website. It's very easy for beginners. No coding, hosting and design are included. Design templates are built in. It's a quick launch and it's less costly than WordPress. However, there's limited customization. There's fewer features in WordPress, harder to move your site to another platform, data and website migration issues, and it's not as powerful for SEO or large websites. We'll go on to the next. We can go on to the next page. One sec, having technical difficulties. Hey, Seta.
Yes, I'm here. Give me 1 second. Give me
Thank you.
1 second. So we've only got about 9 minutes. Emmanuel, thank you so much for the information, but I'll go ahead and get the slides up just so we can get to your questions.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then
so
I'll
give
go
me,
very quick.
okay, sounds
And
good. Give
then,
me 1 second. There we go. So let me go ahead and take it in.
okay, so
Yeah.
just real quick. So Linktree is very important for your website nowadays because people will search for your website, but they'll also find you on social apps, or they'll search for your social app and then go to your website. So you got to make sure that everything is interconnected, and you can achieve this by, for example, Linktree, where you have um, on your social app, will have, I know a lot of you guys have probably seen it, but you'll have your different websites and social apps all in one. So that's how you're able to create a funnel. If you don't have it, I recommend that you guys check it out. And I think Instagram bought it. So they seen the value in it. It's been valuable for me. I recommend it. And we go to the next slide. And then this is again, essentially your website should be like a funnel. I know you guys taking English classes. You remember you start off with the introduction, the bio, and then the ending. And the conclusion is usually the thesis. It reiterates the thesis or the intent or the purpose. So your website should follow that. It's not a bad idea to start off with a piece of paper and create your website on paper and then create a digital version of it. But again, it's like the intro, the bio, and then the conclusion. And then towards the conclusion is where you have the testimonials. The testimonials it's what's gonna get you the sale, essentially. And then we go on to the next one. And then I was told that this PowerPoint will be emailed to you guys. So I know there's a lot of text here. So if you guys are not able to, take this all in, you'll receive it later in the future. But this goes more into, I think we went into this, but it's WordPress versus GoDaddy drag and drop. Move on to the next slide. Okay, and then go on to the next. Next. Is it going backwards?
We should be going towards it.
Let's see.
Let's see.
I think
All
it's
right, yeah. Give me 1 second. Okay.
okay. And then this is more like the future of hardware and websites interconnected. So there's a thing called dock card, which is where you bring the physical to the digital. I have one here, but so you see this card, it also has a URL, and then that URL kind of works like a link tree. But also, if I tap this in the back of your phone, my website will pop up, and then you guys can connect with me right away. So it's again, it's driving traffic to your website is can be done so in person. I'll show you guys real quick. You see, I scan the link, and then my website is the first click, because you never know. Sometimes you might have to give an elevator pitch where you're talking to an executive and you only have like 30 seconds to speak with them. You know, they might have a meeting that they have to run into. That's where this comes handy because it's able to speed the process of you connecting with people and then spread your website.
Yeah.
Move on to the next. And then oh, can you go back one more time? So this is for the people who want to get more interested in AI and then using AI for the websites. You can take a screenshot. We will share this to you, but these are different platforms that you can use to increase the productivity of your website and then to add more features to your website. And then I've used all of these actually, and they're very great. And
Wonderful. Great. So
then
Emmanuel, just for time, if it's okay, we can share your website. And so we have a lot of questions. And so I wanted to
so,
see if we can go ahead
okay.
and just get to the questions.
I
And I
didn't even think
really,
I'd get
yeah,
to the hour,
thank
but I'm
you.
like, oh my
Yeah,
God,
but
it's
thank
a
you.
lot of
You've
material.
done a great job and being really
Yeah.
interactive
Oh,
with
can
it
we go back
tonight.
one more though? Because I
Yeah.
want to show them just this one. Go back. One more. So not this one. This is just stats. Okay, so here you guys, I do recommend you guys check out this app. It's called Lovable. This is the future of website building. This is literally the future. Nowadays, you don't have to code your website with complicated syntax. You can do it with natural language. You can literally, I know Kelly went over prompting. You can now prompt a website from scratch just using natural language. So for those of you guys who want to create a website, I do consider you guys research this because this is like the most futuristic way to create a website. But yeah,
Okay,
that's
great.
about it. Thank you
Wonderful.
guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. That was awesome. That was awesome. So with that, we do have we're gonna have a time for just a couple of questions, I guess. Let's see here. I'm just trying to go down here to see. Is Oracle a good host?
Personally, I haven't used Oracle, but I know as a brand and as a company, Oracle's been around forever. Like they're a super high valuation company. So
Hmm.
personally, I never used it, but I would assume based on the brand presence of Oracle that they would be good.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Very good. And let's see, just one more very quick question. Having website. So thank you for explaining the importance of having a website. I'm a one-person run retail clothing store. I currently do not have a website. So can you recommend an easy website to create?
I would recommend like if you're just starting off, like I would just recommend the drag and drop builder websites, like the
Okay.
GoDaddy, the Wix. If you're doing retail, like the e-commerce ones as well.
Okay. Wonderful. Very good.
But
Um,
also check out the Lovable app.
okay.
That makes it's similar to drag and drop where it makes creating a website easier.
Easier. Okay, great. Then another very quick question, and then we're going to get to closing. So, so if someone's website they feel is getting a little stale over time, how do you suggest they keep up current site before they update it?
So I think the thing is that, we live in a busy society and then, time is always a factor. That's where AI comes into play.
Okay.
Because, for example, if you want to have a seasonal sale, for example, like spring sale, back in the days, you would have to hire a graphic designer to create like the flyer or this and that, or you'd spend hours doing that. But now with AI, you can use generative AI to create the images and the new visuals for your website, so you can revamp your website way quicker than before with AI, especially on the visual side using the AI tools. So
Okay.
I think you should constantly be rebranding, but also before you do the rebrand, you gotta go back into the strategy of your website, whether it's to, do you want to get the sale on the website, or do you just want to get a conversation through the website? Not
Got it.
everyone wants to get a sale on the website. Some people are just using the website to spark a conversation to then get the sale in person or however their
Yeah.
POS is.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Emmanuel, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great information. We got a lot of questions. Just wanted to say to everyone, thank you so much. Please look out for more of these master classes that are going to be coming down the pike. We're really excited to bring this to you all. If you this is recorded, so you will be getting a link on this, as well as the slides that our presenters have actually shared. So really excited that you were able to be here and have all this information. So please look out for more to come. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks, Emmanuel.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Lindsay.
Yeah. If
Thanks,
you guys have
Kelly. Thank
questions,
you all.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.